What do you do when the other driver looks the cop dead in the eye and lies about exactly what happened in your accident? Most people freeze. They don't know what to say. And that silence gets used against them in ways they never see coming. Hit that subscribe button right now, because what I'm about to show you could save you from paying thousands of dollars out of pocket for an accident that was never your fault. This happens every single day, and most drivers walk away getting crushed because they didn't know these 4 tactics. Here's what you're about to learn: how to protect yourself when the other driver starts lying, the exact words to say to the officer at the scene, the documentation moves that make a liar's story fall apart later, and the legal framework that gives you real power even when it feels like everyone is against you. This is not theory. I've analyzed over 200 body cam videos and real accident claim disputes. The drivers who walk away protected all do the same things. In the same order, the drivers who get stuck paying for accidents that weren't their fault all make the same mistakes. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which category you want to be in and exactly how to get there. Let's talk about why the situation is so dangerous. You just got into an accident. You're shaken up. Maybe your hands are trembling. Your heart is pounding. And then you hear the other driver tell the officer something completely different from what actually happened. They say you ran the red light. They say you cut them off. They say you were swerving before the crash. None of it is true. But here's the reality. In that moment, the officer doesn't know who to believe. And whatever gets written in that police report becomes the official version of events. Insurance companies read that report. Adjusters make decisions based on that report. Courts look at that report. If the other driver's lie makes it in, you're in trouble. Most people have no idea how fast a false statement can become the accepted story. They figure the truth will come out later. Sometimes it does, but only if you do the right things right now at the scene. These 4 tactics are designed for this. The first tactic is controlling your own statement before anyone else defines the story for you. Here is the reality. The officer is going to talk to both drivers. That's standard, but the order matters. And what you say matters even more. Most drivers make a massive mistake right here. They wait. They stand off to the side. They let the other driver talk first. Then they react to whatever version of events just got planted in the officer's head. That is the wrong move every time. Bad way. The other driver talks first. They tell the officer you ran the red light. Now the officer comes to you. The officer says something like, "So I heard you may have run the light. Is that true?" Now you are already defending yourself. You're defending yourself against a lie. The lie has a head start. Good way. You approach the officer calmly and say this: "Officer, I want to give you my account of what happened right now while it's fresh." Those exact words. Say them early. Say them before the other driver has painted a picture in that officer's mind. Here's why this works. Officers are human. They form first impressions fast. If the first story they hear sounds confident and detailed, that story becomes the mental baseline. Everything they hear after that gets compared to it. When you speak first with a calm, clear, organized account, your version wins. Legal experts agree this is your strongest protection in the first 5 minutes of any accident scene interaction. You're not arguing with the other driver. You're not accusing anyone of lying. You're simply establishing your account clearly. Give the officer the specific details: what color the light was, what lane you were in, what speed you were going, what you saw right before impact. Specific details are harder to argue against than general statements. A liar usually has a vague story. Your detailed and accurate account will naturally stand out against their fabrication. Have you ever been in a situation where someone lied? Drop a comment below and tell me what happened, because I read every single one. The second tactic is building physical evidence. You need evidence that the other driver's lie cannot survive. You have a phone in your pocket. That phone is a legal tool. Most drivers take a few photos of the damage and call it done. That is nowhere near enough. Capture more. First, photograph the entire scene from multiple angles before anything gets moved. Get wide shots showing both vehicles. Get close shots showing point of impact. Get photos of skid marks. Get photos of road signs, traffic signals, lane markings. Here is the trick they don't want you knowing. The physical evidence tells a story that cannot be changed after the fact. If the other driver says you ran a light, but your photos show you were in a turn-only lane, their story falls apart. Second, look for witnesses. This is 100% legal, and it is critical. Before people drive away, walk over, say this: "Excuse me, did you see what happened? Would you be willing to give your contact information to the officer?" That is it. Don't pressure anyone. Don't argue. Just ask. One neutral witness can completely destroy a false account. Third, look for cameras. Traffic cameras, business security cameras, dash cams on other vehicles. Note the exact location. Write it down or record a voice memo right there. Say the cross street, the time, and the direction cameras are pointed. Surveillance footage gets overwritten fast, sometimes within 24 hours. If you identify a camera, report it immediately. That footage can be requested before it is gone. Defense attorneys use this move in court to prove what actually happened. The bad outcome without this tactic is that the physical evidence disappears and you are left with your word against theirs. The good outcome is that the scene itself becomes your witness and it tells the truth no matter what the driver says. Most people still click away right here. If you're still watching, you are in the top 10% of prepared people. Drop a comment saying still here so I know who is taking this seriously. The third tactic is about post-statement conduct. This is where so many drivers destroy their own case without realizing it. You gave your statement. Good. Keep going. The officer is still gathering information. The other driver might be getting loud. The situation is tense. Don't talk too much. Listen closely because this is critical. After you give your initial account, you stop adding to it unless the officer asks. You do not go back and forth with the other driver. You do not try to argue with their version in public. You do not say things like, "I can't believe they're saying that." Even if every word they say is false, don't engage. Engaging in that argument makes you look emotional and potentially unreliable. Officers are trained to notice who stays calm. Watch what happens when you do this correctly. The officer sees one calm driver with details and one agitated driver. The agitated driver has a vague or inconsistent story. Guess which account gets more weight in that report. This comes straight from how officer credibility assessments work. The calm, specific, consistent account wins almost every time. Watch what happens when you also make a note immediately after speaking with the officer. Pull out your phone and record. Record a voice memo to yourself, say the time, say the date, say the location, then repeat your account exactly. This creates a time-stamped record of your statement made at the scene. If months later there's a dispute, you have proof. Legal experts agree this is your strongest protection in the documentation phase. The fourth tactic is requesting the report. Knowing exactly what to do if the lie made it in is vital. This step happens after you leave the scene. It is just as important as everything you did at the scene. Most drivers just wait for their insurance company. That is a passive approach that can cost you thousands. You need to be active in your own defense. Contact police. Within 24 to 48 hours, you contact the police department and request a copy of the official accident report. The exact words to say are this: "I was involved in an accident on this date at this location. I am requesting a copy of the official accident report for my records." Simple, direct, this is 100% legal. When you get that report, you read every single line. You are looking for one thing specifically. Check the narrative section. Check whether the other driver's false account is reflected as if it is established fact. If the report says, "You ran the light." If this claim is treated as credible in the summary, you now have a specific problem to address. Here's what to do. You contact an attorney or your insurance company and you say this: "I have reviewed the accident report. I believe the other driver's account contains inaccuracies that do not align with the physical evidence at the scene. I want to dispute the factual narrative in this report." You have every right to formally dispute a police report. It does not get changed automatically, but the dispute becomes part of the official record. Combine this with your photos. Use your witness contacts, your surveillance camera locations, and your time-stamped voice memo to build a counter-record. You now have a complete counter-record that a liar's story has to survive against. It usually cannot. I've analyzed over 200 body cam videos, and the drivers who go through this process almost always see better outcomes. Coming next week, I'm dropping a full video on what to do when the other driver has no insurance. They might try to blame you for the accident. Subscribe right now because that situation is even more dangerous than this. The tactics are completely different. You do not want to miss that one. Let's look at the legal framework now. You are doing things that courts have recognized and supported. The first case is Fry v. United States. In plain English, this case established that evidence presented in legal proceedings needs to meet a standard of reliability. The second case is Crawford v. Washington. This is about who gets to have their account confronted and tested. It reinforces that witness statements get scrutinized. If the other driver's account is their weapon, it can be challenged. Your photo record and witness information are the tools you use to challenge it. The third principle is good faith. The duty of good faith in insurance claims is essential. Every state has some version of this legal requirement. Your insurance company has a legal obligation to conduct a fair investigation. If they ignore your evidence, they are in trouble. Ignoring documented counter evidence in favor of a liar is potentially a bad faith insurance practice. Knowing this gives leverage. Defense attorneys use this exact framework to push back on unfair claim denials. Now let's walk through the whole scenario. See exactly what this looks like in real life. You are at a four-way intersection. The light turns green. You proceed through. The other driver runs their red light and hits the side of your car. You pull over. The wrong way. You stand next to your car. You wait for the officer to come to you. You are passive. Meanwhile, the other driver walks straight to the officer and tells them you ran the red light. The officer comes over. The other driver says, "You ran the light." You get flustered. You say they are lying. You forget to take photos before the cars get moved. You forget to look for witnesses. The report is conflicting. Your insurance company calls it a he said, she said situation. Your rates go up. It's a disaster. The right way. You get out calmly. You immediately start taking photos of everything, both cars and skid marks. Lane markings, the traffic signal, the intersection from multiple angles. You approach the officer early and speak. Officer, I want to give you my account of what happened right now while it's fresh. You give a specific account. You tell them what lane you were in and what color light you had. You ask witnesses for contact info. You spot a business camera across the street and note the address. The officer talks to the other driver. You hear a version of events that is false. You stay calm. When the officer returns, you stay consistent. You record a voice memo immediately after with the time, date, location, and your account. Next day, you get the report. You see the lie. You contact your insurance with your documentation, and the investigation reflects the physical evidence. The other driver's lie does not hold up. You are not found at fault. That is the difference these tactics make. Not theoretical, practical. Step by step. In the exact moment when it matters. Let's bring it all home. You speak first with a calm, specific account before the other driver defines the story for the officer. First step. You document everything at the scene with photos and witness contacts before anything gets moved or people leave. Second step. You stay calm after giving your statement and you redirect any follow-up questions back to your account without arguing. Third step. You request the police report within 48 hours and you dispute any false narrative in writing backed by records. Fourth step. Those 4 steps are what separate the drivers who get protected from the drivers who get crushed by lies. This is 100% legal. This is backed by real legal principles. It is available to you. Hit subscribe so you catch next week's video on what to do when the other driver has no insurance. That one is even higher stakes than this. Smash that like button if this gave you a real plan. Drop a comment telling me which of these 4 tactics you had never thought of before. I read every comment. I want to know what hit hardest for you. Stay safe out there, and thanks for watching the full breakdown. We will see you in the next video where we cover even more ways to protect yourself on the road. Remember to keep your cool and keep your camera ready. Information is your best defense in any accident scenario. Thank you for being here. Your safety and your legal protection are my top priorities. See you next week. Don't let a liar win. Use the facts. Use the system. Stay protected every single time you drive.